Hello everyone around the world, my name is Walkus. I was born and raised in Sydney. Today I'm going to attempt 65 accents from around the world, not including my natural accents. This is all being done during a 1-week uni break, when I should be studying. Now, I spent days on YouTube to get these accents right. Another purpose to making this video is so that I can show you and my students that accents are not a trait or an ability that you're born with. It's something you can learn. It is not difficult. An accent is essentially 4 things: the speed at which you pronounce your words or sentences, the emphasis of specific vowels, consonants, or syllables, the rhythm. Some languages and dialects have a certain rhythm you must follow. And of course, the last one, like Vietnamese, intonation. You must know when to go up and down. And it takes a long time for you to listen, adapt to, get used to, before you can start to mimic. I've been listening to a lot of languages throughout my life. Same with music. I've been listening. I can detect languages. I just have not been really using those accents. This is the first time I'm ever going to record my attempts at doing these accents. Just a quick disclaimer so that you don't call me a racist or you say that those accents don't reflect my accent. Accents are never standard for any group of people, ethnicity, region, or nation. It's always going to have slight variations. And these variations will be based upon your gender, socioeconomic background, level of intelligence and education, your social circles, and your upbringing. And so, without further ado, here's my attempts at 65 accents from around the world. Nobody in Australia knows why, but for some reason, every time we conclude a sentence, our pitch always goes up at the end, rather than going down like everybody else. Have you noticed this? I love listening to the German accent. It took me quite a while to remember how to do it. To those of you out there who are still learning, don't ever stop. Hello, how are you, my friend? To talk like the Persian, I had to study very hard. I am so embarrassed. I cannot do it. I love the Persian language. Alright, you want to hear the Australian accent? The best way to hear it is to read these 2 lines. The rain in Spain falls mainly in the plains, and ask the master to pass the banana. Received pronunciation. I've got no idea what that is. I believe it is merely speaking slowly and pronouncing your words as clearly as possible to throw off your Australian accent. To anyone who has grown up in Western Sydney, you would have heard this accent everywhere. If you haven't heard it, you would try to imitate it. You've been bullied by someone who speaks like that. If not, get onto Superwog and you listen to it. The North, the South, and the Middle Vietnamese accents are very different, but when they study English and the level is good, they sound very similar. If you want to do this Vietnamese accent, you must learn to use all your vowels very strong and your accent go up. I call the guy hillbilly, but you can find them everywhere in Vietnam. They think they vomit their word. It sounds cool. It's not cool. It sounds disgusting. Bruh, that's good. You should listen to my story. I went to this place, I got charged $56 for chips. That's bad. I do not know if this is the Parisian accent, but I can imagine that the educated French class or those who have been exposed to English would sound like this. Every time I try to do the heavy French accent, after a while, it eventually sounds more like the Russian accent. You must keep in mind, Russia spans from Europe to Asia, and in between, there are many accents, different people and nations within. It is a very multi-ethnic and multicultural country. You know what I hate? The generic, heavy Russian accents being used in every Hollywood movie. The Russians are not bad people. They are not always the criminals. 8 years ago, when I was in China, I had a friend. He's a Russian guy, of course. He lived there. He worked as a middleman between the buyers in Russia and the merchants in China. Very smart guy. Made lots of money for himself. If there's ever a time I should be using a Texan accent, it should be now. Because if I don't, the next one, when I'm doing the redneck accent, I'm just gonna muddle this one up. When I first saw that TV series Prison Break, T-Bag's accent grew on me. It's the first time I've ever heard the southern accent, and thanks to that, I started learning it. I just started speaking it with ease after like a few days. When it comes to doing the Italian accent, everybody uses this one. It's the most common one. Most likely from the south of Italy. This is the watered down Italian accent. It still has the same rhythm and stress, and even the little pauses and additional vowels at the end of the word. But it is much easier to understand. I don't know where specifically this accent is from in China. The first time I heard it was in the city building game Emperor Rise of the Middle Kingdom. In dynastic China, the Imperial eunuchs used to speak like this. Hello, happiness to you. I am so sorry. 1 year in China, I cannot do the Mandarin accent. If you hear someone say, "Ayya," you know they are from the south of China, not the north. You want to talk like a Hong Kong guy, you should go on YouTube, search him up, very good video. You get this accent wrong, you will sound like a guy from Singapore. Now that I am up to the British English, I might as well give the received pronunciation accent a go. Tell me, is this correct, or do I sound more like something else? With this accent, I sound like I'm murdering the language. I'm stopping halfway through every word I'm saying. Innit? The very first accent I learned was the British one. I'm not sure which accent it was, or which region it comes from. I had an amalgamation because I was working with a bunch of backpackers. This clip is getting increasingly harder to do as every other accent that I have done is starting to merge. My favorite word in the Scottish accent is the word ugly. If you call someone ugly, they not only hear what you've just said, but they can feel what you mean. Top of the morning to you. I've always been fascinated by this accent, and the only way I've ever learned it was playing a computer game. Thanks to that, I killed two birds with one stone. The Nigerian accent is my favorite. Not only can I plausibly speak like this over the phone and make you think I am trying to scam you, I am possibly also the only Asian on YouTube or the world who can speak with the Nigerian accent as if I was born there learning English. Like all forms of Arabic, the Sudanese Arabic is more like the Somali than the Egyptian. To those of you who have played Command and Conquer Generals, thanks to the terrorist faction, I have been able to mimic the peasant's accent. How do you think I went? If you ever get the chance to go to Egypt, be very careful with the camel rides to the pyramids, because if you get ripped off, the insurance companies will not pay you for that. If you want the generic terrorist accent that you get from the Hollywood movies, just master one line. I want to hijack the plane. Mexico is one large country, hombre. Lots of different states, people, and regions. You can't just put them together and say they only have one accent, and this is it. Hey everybody, I sound like Dr. Nick from The Simpsons. What I'm trying to do is get the Guatemalan accent. Oh no, sorry, the Puerto Rican accent. I find the Malaysian accent to be contagious. You hear somebody talking like this for a while and then suddenly you talk like them lah. A lot of the time people confuse Singapore and the Malaysian accent. You need to learn the difference, Every 5 minutes in a Korean drama, the hot girl, she always have the elongated face and the big eye, pretty eye. And they always say, hi. I've been trying to study the South African accent for about 1 week now. You wouldn't believe it, but it's very cold right now. My hand. I can't feel my hand. The introduction to Oh Shogun Totoro campaign have a samurai narrating. Thanks to his accent, I have been able to master the samurai Japanese accent. This is the modern Japanese accent. A lot of the accent that add extra sound like su and de, like uncle. Me ain't got no clue how to use this accent properly, but me is on a mission to get me famous, man. There's a lot of people lying up behind you, buddy. Make up your mind, order your coffee, and get out of here. Avionics are online. I've been flying for years. Air cover's on the way. They won't get a lock. Target's locked in. Missiles are away. I'm his elite. You need a point, man? I'm ready for action. Cover me. I'm going in. Take new position and securing area. Yup. These folks are so laid back, I can imagine them not having a mobile phone at all and not give a damn about Facebook. And while they're speaking like this, I can imagine them chewing on a bit of tobacco. There is a demographic of Americans who speak through their nose. It's as if they've got a blocked nose 24/7. The guy I mimic this from is an American lawyer. Luckily, I used to live in Homebush for 6 years. This suburb has the highest concentration of the Tamils and Sinhalese in Sydney. What are you doing? What are you doing? No, 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 no. I have monopoly this area. I am taxi driver this area. You get out. You get out. Welcome to the south of India. I will be your tour guide, Vishnu. If I speak too quickly, I do apologize. Sometimes I have that habit that people can't understand me. Let me know. I must admit, I love Indian movies. Although I like half of them from Bollywood, the other half come from Telugu. Telugu is funny, especially the action scene, because they don't make sense and you can clearly see the fault. I was just watching an Al Jazeera coverage of Pakistan's political unrest. They were interviewing a lot of people from Islamabad and their accents were like this. Don't call me a racist. If you have any family in Bangladesh, don't let them work in a factory because there's still no fire precautions. You know, on some days I can do the islander accent, either Samoan or Tonga. I don't know how to tell the difference, but I can do it on some days, then I lose it. To be or not to be, that is the question. Whether 'tis nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune. I would like to come out to one of the fjords in Norway. I hear it's very beautiful, I see it's very beautiful, but if you look at my bank account, it's not beautiful. A lot of the materials that I've been concentrating on to get the Spanish accent has been very quick, flat, and rather seductive. The problem with doing too many accents is that eventually, when you model up, it will evolve into another one. I initially started off with the Bangladesh, and then now it's evolved into this Filipino one. Saksabay. So you want the bone soup? Not chili. No bread. Okay. 5 minutes. I like listening to Khmer accent in the countryside. It's so different. It's not like in neighbor. How are you? My name is Ha. I'm 20. I exercise a lot to be pretty. Thanks to Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, Malchavi's policy have improved the economy of Brazil. I know robotic voices are not an accent, but it is the most plausible voice I can do. I believe it is adequate to pass. And that concludes my 65 attempts at accents from around the world. Initially I aimed for 60, I somehow made to 65, and honestly, if I had more time than just this 1 week uni break, I'd probably waste and end up doing 65 anyway. What I really wanted to do, which I did not have a chance to actually relearn in time, is the Greek accent, the Jewish accent, you know, the one in New York, and of course the mob, Sicilian mob, again, New York. If I had more time, truly, I would do the American States, North America, and South America. And of course, try to specialize with the African accents as well. If you enjoyed your 12 minutes watching my video, all that hard work I put in, hit like for me. If you reckon it's worthy of being shared, share it. And a concluding line from me is that we've got too much hate in this world. We have to learn to look beyond our differences. Don't judge the book by its cover. Judge people by their actions. And I bid you guys farewell.